Some people might say that these ideas about the core principles of logo design are old-fashioned, but they couldn't be more wrong. What is more modern than social media, than avatars and favicons? Let's talk about it. Responsive websites. Many of us now do a significant amount of web searching on tablets and smartphones, not just our desktop or laptop computers, hence the current pressure to have responsive websites, sites that change the size and organization of a page's content depending on the device used for viewing it. Even though the resolution of these screens has increased, with more pixels per inch, the inescapable fact is that these screens are smaller. Therefore, their content will be viewed smaller. One needs to think of this reality when designing an identity. Social media avatars. One would have to be living on another planet not to know how important social media is, not just for individual people today, for all sorts of companies as well. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram are the most popular, but the list goes on. Social media allows the user to have an avatar, a visual portrait of the person, or for companies, their logo. An avatar can be nice and big on your own page in these sites, like these Twitter pages. But those pages are rarely visited by followers. Instead, it is the avatars on your notices, tweets, or posts that followers see, and they are quite small. As of now, here are the typical sizes of the big four social media for their avatar sizes for posts or tweets. Twitter, 42 pixels square. Pinterest, 40 pixels square. Facebook, 32 pixels square. And Instagram, 30 pixels round. Obviously, clear and simple logos survive best in this social media arena. Logos without any of the 7 deadly sins are essential when trying to render a recognizable image with so few pixels. Here are avatars from Instagram posts as seen on an iPhone 5. The bigger versions at the top are enlarged 400%, but the smaller assembly below shows avatars the actual size, pixel for pixel, as seen in posts, which is the way most avatars are seen. The top 2 rows of avatars are successful and easily read. The bottom row of avatars all suffer from not recognizing the size that they must be viewed on posts, with the small number of pixels that make them up. Bottom row starting from the left. Number 1. Greyhound's poor avatar is not that clear even at the larger size. What were they thinking? It is totally unrecognizable when reduced to the size of a normal post. Number 2. Mitsubishi's logo is legible, but the text is not. Number 3. Calvin Klein's signature could be shown larger if they stacked the 2 names instead of stringing them out side by side, with so few pixels to work with. Any identity ought to be flexible enough to stack words. Number 4. Lippincott's avatar shows the problem of not using a condensed font for long signatures and of using all caps. It is readable at the larger size, but it is marginal at best at the actual post size. Number 5. Godiva doesn't understand that marginal contrast is worse the smaller something is reduced. Number 6. IBM's avatar could have worked with white or a light blue, but not with low contrast colors that they picked for this retro version. Number 7. Sprint's yellow only shows up on a dark background. When are they going to change the color on light backgrounds? Favicons. We'll end our journey with the humble little favicon. Fav rhymes with have, short for favorite icon. These tiny nuggets of branding design can and should be part of every commercial website. When we visit any website that has a favicon, it will appear in the tab of that page in most web browsers. Then, when we bookmark a web page, that site's favicon is stored along with the link and the bookmark's descriptive text. When you or I scroll through our web bookmarks, the favicon is the first thing we see, followed by the descriptive text. How cool is that? You get to plant your Favicon brand on the machine of anyone who bookmarks your website. The only problem is that these little visuals are only 32 pixels square. Sometimes that is further dumbed down to only 16 pixels square. That's so little to work with that only logos free of the 7 deadly sins of logo design have a hope of converting directly to a clear favicon. The ideal favicon would be a miniature of the company's logo, like those for ABC, Microsoft, Facebook, and Apple. The next best thing is an important portion of the logo or the first initial of the company wordmark or signature, like those for Google, Bing, or Amazon. Columns 1 and 2 are miniature versions of their very effective logos. Column 3 shows favicons derived from part of their identity. Companies that only use a signature or wordmark end up having to make, in effect, a micro logo for their favicon. Column 4 are ineffective favicons for various reasons. The first are trying to show something too complex for a 16 pixel square, or even a 32 pixel square. Others have weak contrast. The top row shows favicons made with 32 pixels. The bottom row shows favicons made from 16 pixels. Note how the favicon for United Airlines and Virgin Mobile suffer from pixel mush. It's nearly impossible to make a good favicon from a poor logo. Parts or lines that are too fine, lack of mass or contrast, are all accentuated when trying to shrink the logo down to 16 pixels square. What are a company's options then? Samples 1 through 5 are sturdy, clear favicons because the logos are sturdy and clear. Sample 6 shows Sprint's logo in black. The yellow would never work. When will they figure out that the yellow is ineffective for their logo too? Samples 7 and 8 show favicons made from a recognizable part of the company wordmarks and work reasonably well. Sample 9 shows Xerox's signature reversed out of a red block. It would have been a bit more legible if they had used all 32 pixels for a red signature on white. Sample 10 is a smart use of the company's well-known brand colors. Sample 11 is a complete failure. How could they expect any recognition from a signature 4 pixels high? Sample 12 shows Birkenstock trying to use a seal design that fails at 32 pixels square. Less is more is an age-old maxim in so many areas of art and design, as has already been mentioned. It is not just a nice idea in favicon design, it is imperative. The websites for Kentucky Fried Chicken in the US and in Canada give us an opportunity to compare favicons. Both the US and Canadian favicons show the familiar bucket. The US version also tries to show the bucket full of chicken, whereas the Canadian version only shows the bucket flat on. It is very easy to tell that the simpler bucket works better. Note that it only takes a few pixels to render the chicken, but it is enough to make the rest of the bucket considerably more ambiguous. The lesson in favicon design, reaching for less, can let the viewer grasp more. What do 32 or 16 pixel images teach us? One might suppose that the latest modern fads or fashions of logo design would be the most compatible with our latest technology and media. But the opposite is true. Over and over again, we see that the core principles of logo design we've spoken of in this course are not only valid today, but give better results with today's newest media. What could be more modern than a favicon? Far from being passé or old-fashioned, these principles are fundamental, even timeless. As we've stated before, trends are temporary and in the end will be replaced. That is the very meaning of the word trend, isn't it? So avoid trends, especially just the outward trappings of trends, at all costs. Instead, let us seek in our corporate identity design that which aspires at least to permanence. For more information, go to logodesigntheory.com. If you found this helpful, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and share this with anyone who needs to know more about logo design.